Bro, this is so funny. Like, this is the part where it's just like, what, dude?
I once clicked very well with a high-class escort, but I sure didn't want her to be my wife because of that.
Bro, it would be so funny. God, it would have been way better if he did this video and then was like, Espencraft said this and I disagreed. And then he just talks about the hooker analogy. The entire video is just about the hooker analogy. Why? Why does everyone have to be so serious here, man? So you guys remember this video last time, the great synthesizer scam, how they reel you in. This was a video that was kind of interesting. You know, I particularly didn't relate to it too much because I'm not really a hardware synth guy, but this pissed off a lot of people. Like, there's so many reactions to it and responses to it.
Some people will always pay up. The synth manufacturers know this. They have whole departments working on this scheme. How much can we charge before someone smells a rat? A lot of people will go batshit crazy over this video. They will be outraged.
He's not wrong. He is not wrong. People are upset.
And they will reply in the comments with long essays about how little I know about synths, how little I know about how they operate, etc., etc. And these people, they often have a ton of synths in their home studios. So pay attention.
And zero finished tracks. Did the Behringer boys get mad? Yes, they did.
To these people and pay attention.
But I don't think we're gonna look at any of that. I can't be fucked to like browse through one of Synth Samurai streams.
To how much music they make, which is actually very little. These people.
He's cooking though. You gotta admit he's cooking, dude. The people, the DAW-less people. I'm not talking about NPC users. You know, SP404 people. I'm not talking about those people. But the people obsessed with synthesizers. Very little finished tracks. I don't know what's up with that. I really think it's the obsession with like, oh, dude, like my music sucks. It must be because of the synth, you know, like, and then they get a new synth and then it's like, you know, it must be the synth. It's not me. It's the synth.
People never make any music with their gear at all. They are gear worshippers. All the synths I'm about to advise against, they are all great synths. They can sound great. They can look.
See, like the thing is, like I feel like people are cherry picking this too because like he even says here, they're all great synths, right? Like he's just saying it costs way too much.
Great. They can feel great, and they're capable of doing the job.
Tell that to EA Ski. Well, that's why I said I'm not talking about NPC people. I'm not talking about NPC people. I'm not talking about SP404 people. They make tracks, they make beats, and they move on. They usually use samples too. That's why. I'm talking about the people who are obsessed with Moog, who are obsessed with Behringer, etc.
In a gig, they're capable of doing the job in the studio, and they're all capable of giving you a good time. I'm not questioning their quality.
I think one thing that pissed people off about this video is calling it the Great Synthesizer Scam. You know, calling it a scam, like I don't know if I'd say it's a scam. You know, maybe it's a scheme. It's you know, they're overcharging. Well, let's look at the actual definition of scam here, because I kind of overuse the word too. A scam or confidence trick is an attempt to defraud a person or group after first gaining their trust. Well, actually, that kind of does fit. I usually feel like scams involve you like not even getting the product, or like a product that's so broken that you basically just got money stolen from you. No one made you buy anything. That's kind of dumb though. That's kind of a dumb argument, because you could just say that to somebody who, like a grandma who gets like scammed with like some sort of fake like Google email, you know, like no one made you click on anything. Like that argument doesn't really hold weight in my opinion. I do agree like marketing can be a scam. Like I do kind of feel like that Waves plugin, a little scammy. Weaver scammed us with text-to-speech. I think it works, bro. I think it works. I think. I can't tell actually. I can't actually tell. Whether it's a scam, it kind of depends. I usually feel like you have to like be getting virtually nothing out of it.
I'm questioning the price.
So I just want to play a couple clips from this real quick, just for context. And also, I really like the prostitute analogy he makes, because it was totally unwarranted and insane. I don't think synths in a shop are the same as fake call centers. I agree.
Synths have more in common with a computer. How is this not a scam? Are you willing to pay $4,000 or $5,000 for this?
Bro, this is so funny. Like, this is the part where it's just like, what, dude?
I once clicked very well with a high-class escort, but I sure didn't want her to be my wife because of that.
He's not wrong, but comparing it to a synth is crazy. Yeah, there's no other way to look at that. There's no other way to look at that. Okay, so that was the one part I thought was super fucking funny about this video. This baited a lot of people, man. So here we go. We got Ricky Tenez. Is it Ricky Tenez? Ricky Tenez? Okay, let's see.
Okay, so Espencraft said some things, and I'll start by saying I agree with a lot of what Espen said, but I think he may have forgotten to mention
Okay, there. I mean, I do, yeah. So he's not completely disagreeing.
Something that's pretty important, and that's what I wanted to add to the conversation. In case you're unfamiliar, Espen Kraft said that synth companies are scamming.
Bro, it would be so funny. God, it would have been way better if he did this video and then was like, Espen Kraft said this and I disagreed. And then he just talks about the hooker analogy. The entire video is just about the hooker analogy. Why? Why does everyone have to be so serious here, man? Why can't we get content like that? That's what I want.
You. The TLDR of his video, which I have linked down below, is that synth companies are making instruments that are pretty much just software or like a plugin and putting it into fancy hardware.
Maybe he likes hookers. Maybe he agreed with that part.
And then selling it to you for as high as you're willing to pay. Pretty loaded.
That's not loaded, dude. That's just fucking true, dude. That's just business, dude. All businesses operate that way. Hey, I disabled text-to-speech for now.
So for starters, let's talk about the whole computer and VSTs inside hardware.
Since they're just a computer box, while you don't say it, well, there's different types, you know, like there's digital synthesizers and analog synthesizers. And analog synthesizers, it's a little different than just a computer in a box. But other than that, yes.
Computers and VSTs will always do more than hardware synths. And I accept that computers are more powerful and more flexible than almost all hardware. But what I wanted to add to the conversation is something that I believed for a while now, and that's that all we're really paying for when it comes to getting gear or hardware is workflow and speed, not sound.
Wait, really? If you want workflow, get FL Studio, bro. People are speedrunning, making beats in it, dude. Come on. If we're talking about workflow, like maybe if you're talking about like the workflow of one synth is better than another synth, okay, yeah. But if you're looking for the best workflow, then just take your ass to a computer, bro. Take your ass to a computer. Use Ableton. Use FL Studio.
And those are two things that I'm willing to pay for to an extent. Using a MIDI controller or a mouse or a trackpad for tons of VSTs, to me, feels a bit uninspiring, especially when it comes to programming and sound design, or even creative sequencing. And I understand that some folks, it might be all that they got, or it's their preferred method, and that's totally dope, right? Whatever works to get you to make more tunes, I'm totally
That's a great point
down
coming.
with. But making sounds on
true.
the computer has always felt more destination-based for me. When I'm using my mouse to click on this and grab that.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, yeah, it's more destination-based, but like that's the reason why the workflow is the fastest on a computer.
That knob and specifically turn that up. It's a thought that was predetermined, but when I'm on a synthesizer, it feels a bit more exploratory to me. And now that we're talking about perception, a desktop synth module and a separate MIDI controller feels a little different than like a keyboard version of that same synth. I don't know why, but hey, there's possibly a perceived disconnect, right? It could be placebo, not sure, but I'm willing to believe it. Now on to Espen's claims about expensive synths, two of which I own.
Conflict of interest. I'm just kidding. Bro, I feel like I'm being like wisped to sleep here, man. He's ASMR as hell, dude. Like, I don't know how, like, what mic is he using? It sounds really close.
Not to mention, I, for example, wasn't able to nail, or more importantly, learn the sound of classic 90s house until I just used a JV1080 and an MPC 60. Then, with those limitations in mind, I took that with me to newer and more modern gear. For example, you could do anything in Ableton Live, or any DAW for that matter, but it's as gray and as transparent.
Shotgun mic and good acoustics, that does make sense. It could be a shotgun mic.
As its default color scheme. You need to have a goal of where you want to go and shape the software to get you there. Otherwise, it's possibility paralysis, right? I love limitations, and in some cases, I need limitations, and I think that that's where creativity thrives. And in some cases, that can provide the leverage we need to create something, right? A wall in our
the frame. Oh, you're saying we can't see it?
Way gives us something to push off of, a way to build momentum. Otherwise, we're kind of just standing in a void with nowhere to go. Or again, it gives me the permission to ignore the sounds or
Espen got so much wrong on this. He was quoted 7K for a 3.5K USD synth. Yeah, I heard something about that in the comments too. I mean, the point, it doesn't really ruin the point, but it does take away from it a little bit, because it's like, well, how much is it a scam then if it's like the price that you said it was, right? I think one thing too with these sort of videos like Espen did, like I don't, like it was a little semi-ranty, right? It was semi-ranty, and usually with semi-ranty videos, you're not going to be bringing up as many facts and objective things. And you never know how big a video is really going to get. That video could have done 3K views, 40K views, which it ended up doing, 100K views, 20 views. You never really know. So I don't know. I guess like the best thing to do is to like treat it like it's always going to get like that insane amount of views that you hope for or whatever. Because you never know how big the audience is going to be that it's going to reach out to. In this case, it reached out to a very large audience.
It's the cliche, can it check your email trope, right?
But can it run Doom?
Buying expensive gears to anyone, because there are just as good sounding synthesizers for way cheaper. And I do agree with Espen that digital synths especially, for the most part, are just processors running some code. Hilariously, working for different music companies and understanding a bit more of the manufacturing side, it's crazy to see how one processor can be responsible for so many different products and from a ton of different companies at the same time. It's just a platform to build whatever you want on, right? Where I think it starts to get kind of special is if you take that computer or that VST and a dedicated controller that was built with that instrument in mind, then I can start to see the value in acquiring different products, especially when the company has a vision of how a workflow should be.
Okay, let's look at this guy's reaction too. Miles away, our hardware synths scam, Espen Craft response. Okay.
And these people, they often have a ton of synths in their home studios. So pay attention to these people and pay attention to how much music they make.
I mean, this is like the exception to the rule, you know?
Which is actually very little. These people never make any music with their gear at all. They are gear worshippers.
Okay, this is kind of funny.
All the synths I'm about to advise against.
What's up and welcome back. I wanted to do a little response to a recent video published by Espen Craft. And before
Espen is a known troll. He does stuff all the time for clicks. Show me some other examples of that.
But I want to focus more on the first portion, which I think is a classic difference of opinion and misunderstanding of why people get into analog synthesizers. So
yeah, he did kind of miss that point.
as you saw from that cheeky intro montage, I've been releasing and making music for years.
Okay, yeah, we got it, bro. We got it. You don't gotta. You can just skip over that, bro. Like you made your point there.
Up until 2018 or 2019. And spoiler alert, my music did not immediately improve overnight. If you're looking for me to say yes, buying a hardware synth was the magic bullet that took me from being an amateur to a pro, that's not the case. To the average listener, my music probably
I feel like this guy's the exception to the rule, though.
Sounded more or less unchanged. You can go listen to my 2019 Miles Away EP, which was made entirely on VSTs like Diva and Serum, and then right after, go and listen to my song Strangers or Horrors, which are on the same label, made entirely on analog synths, and the mixdowns and the sonic characters sound pretty similar. But that's not the point of analog synths and hardware synths, and I think this is where I disagree.
I mean, maybe a little more so for analog, right? Like you're hoping to get a slightly different sound out of it. But overall hardware synths don't sound just better on their face because there are digital synths too. Usually it's like you just like working that way.
Agree with Espen and wanted to make a video. In my humble opinion, the point of getting
the mix will sound the same. You mix it, it's the sounds within the mix that change. True. Yeah, I kind of agree. That is null.
A hardware synth collection, or even just one hardware synth at the end of the day, is essentially you are paying for a conduit to be able to take inspiration and ideas out of your head and perform with them in real time.
It's 9:51 p.m.
So I think it's a big disservice to say that a synth like the OBX8, Prophet 5, or Third Wave is just a VST in a box because you're paying for the physical item that is an instrument. You're talking about the process of making music. A good counterexample to this is that if you hear this song, I made it entirely with Kontakt sample libraries. There was no real string players anywhere. I quote unquote got the same results with VSTs that I could have with hardware. This song was successfully placed in a commercial for Clash of Clans, and it sounds realistic because the sound quality of Kontakt banks is great. Does that mean that there's no use anymore for a real cellist who could have played that part or a real violinist? Absolutely not. That would be ridiculous to say.
Yeah, it doesn't sound super realistic. Also, I don't know if this is like the best way to make that point.
For some reason, synthesizers don't get the same level of respect as real acoustic instruments such as...
Well, I think it's not about respect, in my opinion. I guess they don't get that respect, but part of the reason why you can't really make this argument is because an actual acoustic instrument vibrates. Like it makes a sound by vibrating strings and whatnot, right? Whereas a synthesizer, it's all electronic. You know, I think that's the reason why people are just like, oh, they're different, and they are different. So that's part of the reason why they never get that level of respect, that same level of respect.
Violins or cellos, where no one would ever say that there's no point in a violin existing anymore because we have an accurately sampled or physical modeled violin that we can get. It just doesn't make sense to me why synthesizers don't get the same level of treatment as acoustic
I just explained it.
Instruments in terms of being viewed as a real instrument for a real performer.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like, I'm not even saying like real instruments are better, right? But I think that's the argument that people make with that and why they're not respected as well, because it's like, oh, it's not an actual instrument. But I also personally think it's just stupid to begin with, because it all gets recorded through electronics eventually. I do think in this original video though, this fucking hooker analogy is so out of left field, dude. It is so, this kind of lends a little credibility to it being a troll, in my opinion, because why would you say this?
One of the arguments I'm often met with is, hey Espen, I just click with this instrument. I love sitting there at night noodling and playing with this synth, and I get a lot of inspiration from it, and I can truly sympathize with that. I once clicked very well with a high-class escort, but I sure didn't want her to be my wife because of that.
To be my
It did
wife?
cost $4,000 or $5,000, but was it worth it? Well, maybe it is to you. I'm not here to judge, different stroke.
The prostitute scam, how they reel you in. It would have been funny if, like, in this video, it was actually just a plug to sell his VST. Bro, maybe he is trolling. Like, look at this. I made the synth world go bonkers, and I made a brand new channel because of it. What the hell? Okay, wait, hold on
I
a
recently
second
made
here.
a video that made the synth world go bonkers. And admittedly, this is a relatively small world, but nevertheless. And the reactions have been many. And there's been reaction videos for the first time, I think. I've had people making reaction videos to my video, several in fact.
I'm smelling bait. I'm smelling some bait here.
And so I made a reactions video to the reactions video, and I even made a brand new channel for this, which you can find here. It's called I'm
You Are Next.
Craft and You're Not, and I'm going to use this channel to, well, to put out videos that won't fit into my regular channel, which you're watching right now.
This is, okay, I'm kind of...
So from now on, my regular channel will be just that, regular videos, gear, demos, etc., music, as it's always been, and I'll put my other videos into this I'm Espen Craft and You're Not channel.
Let's see his reaction to the reactions here.
Hello everyone.
You've been baited!
And welcome. To help calm the troubled mind and soothe some sore butts, I'm going to read to you the story of Todd and Copper.
Dude, I like this guy. I actually like this guy. This is funny as hell.
Also known as the Fox and the Hound. And this is a story about friendship and loyalty. And I'm going to read it to you in Norwegian because that's a language that's also known to help soothe the troubled mind. So let's go. Todd og Copper.
Wait, what is that fucking PC though? Wait, hold on a second. What the hell, dude? Bro, he must be a troll. Like, dude, like having that computer alone is a troll. Oh my god, bro. Is he just gonna read this story? He's just gonna read this fucking story. Bro. Wow. Wow.
En tidlig vårmorgen flyktet en revmor av sted med den lille revungen sin.
Okay, well, I mean, he's not reading in English. We can't sit through this here. Like, I can't even fucking do anything with this here, bro.
Hadde det veldig fint sammen. Ofte satt de på en klipp.
I don't know. I was hoping we can get some content out of this, but he's not speaking English. Now I feel like we're being double trolled now. Now I feel like we're being double trolled. This dude is wild. I changed my mind. I'm a fan, bro. I'm a fan. I don't know if I want to sub to this channel, though. Like, honestly, he kind of fucked up by, like, not reading it in English. So, like, I kind of don't know if I really want to sub to this. But that was, bro, that was masterful. That was masterful. I think I'm gonna sub to his actual channel though. Hold on a second here, because I'm a fan now. I'm actually a fan. I wasn't sure if I was a fan originally, but now I am a huge fan.